Ghost Hunt at Hagood Mill in Pickens, South Carolina, June 14, 2025. Tickets are $25 and are sold on Eventbrite and in person at the Dark, Strange and Mysterious Market in Easley, SC on June 13th and 14th. Special guests for the Ghost Hunt is Brandon Cooper and Blaine Rohan. Hagood Mill is known for its rich history and mysterious activity. Can you see spirits? Can ghosts talk to you? Find out. Ghost Hunt, June 14, 2025. Tickets cost $25. We will gather at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and do a history haunting tour until midnight.
I'm in the show. Wow, at least I got my shirt on. All right, everybody can see and hear me supposedly. And get everything plugged in. In case you're wondering, I am Len Dorman. I have no clue where Gwen went to. But I was 7.
I'm right here in the background for you.
Okay. I just sat down. Hadn't even plugged in the headset yet.
I thought you had. Sorry about that. So
you told me not to do cocaine on the air or do my coke. So I did my coke already.
All right. There you go. All right. Well, I'm going to let you get to it. If you need me, you know I'm in the background. So here you go.
All right.
You got it.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right. Everybody, this is my normal time. We're starting tonight, my normal show time, 8:30, 9:30 Eastern, 7:30 Mountain, 6:30 Pacific. I am not going to go to Alaska time for Hawaii because I don't know anybody out there, and I am tired of playing the time police just telling you about Central and Eastern, all right? I kind of lose track. All right, so we are going to have a special guest tonight. I struggled to pronounce his last name, but Thomas Patrick Gormley, I believe it is. He can punch me in the face if that's wrong.
You're close, Len. It's Gormley.
Gormley, I was close.
The only person that calls me Gormley is Dave Schrader.
Oh, okay.
I'll let him off the hook too, like I'll let you off the hook. So,
all right. I sent a picture to Gwen in case you wanted to use it in any kind of new video she put up.
Yeah.
Of me talking with Dave Schrader standing in Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah. He was there, and he wanted to talk to somebody who had something there that had an event happen there.
Yeah.
For a show, Darkness Radio. This is quite a few years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And somebody pointed to me and said he had an incident just the other day. So we stood about where the incident happened, and he interviewed me right there.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was interesting. So I talk to him once in a while on Facebook. I wouldn't call us friends, but we know each other.
Yeah, Dave's a good guy. He's just one of those guys in the industry. Doesn't have that big ego. He's just a nice guy. He's there for everybody. He sends out prayers for a lot of people when they need it. So yeah, I really like him. He's got good energy. I've got to meet him a couple times, and grateful for that. So good. I'd have to call him. He's a friend. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I got my act together finally.
Are you sure, Len? I don't know about that. We'll find out.
The heart rate is still settling down.
Yeah.
I didn't get to eat supper. Fortunately, I stuffed myself with about 5 donuts while I was at Walmart.
Jeez.
Well,
what are you, like Homer Simpson? Did you have some Duff beer along with those donuts?
I wish I had. all I had was the Coke that I threw over there.
Yeah, that's always good. At least your Coke has a name on it. So
yeah, Connor. I guess
Connor
it's a Terminator fan. But I called the guy who's supposed to come out and put our new mini splits in.
Yep.
He's had a death in the family this week, but there was nothing he could do as a temp till we got everything done. So he couldn't help me. And it was over 80 degrees in here. I did not want to do the show and operate this nearly new computer in that kind of temperature. And in the bedroom, I was dreading going to bed tonight with over 80 degrees. You can imagine sleeping with over 80 degrees.
Yeah, no thanks. I don't even want to imagine that. I would melt.
And about 80% humidity.
Yeah.
So I had to go got a couple of small units. The neighbor gave me a hand, and we used cardboard and duct tape and got them in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'm the same way. Up here, I put wall-mounted air conditioners in my windows in a couple different rooms. And me, I have no patience. I just want to get them in and just get done with it. And so they go in so weird every year, but they always do the job. So yeah, cardboard, tape, whatever. You seal off the holes so none of the bugs get in, and that's it for the summer. So yeah. Yeah,
the wife did that. She used cardboard, a knife I gave her, and actually gave my wife a knife.
She didn't stab you. So good. You're still alive, Len. So I guess it's a good thing.
Yes. But I don't know what we want to talk about tonight. My mind is still going. My heart rate is still higher than it should be.
Yeah. Well, keep that heart rate down. We'll try and calm it down. A little shamanic healing there for you, my friend. And
thank you.
We'll try and bring you down there for a little bit. I'll try not to excite you too much. So
keep your shirt on.
Yeah, I'll try. That. Yeah, I don't want to excite you to take my shirt off. So yeah. But no, we talked before. We had an interesting case we talked about on the podcast I'm on Monday. So I'll do a shout out to all those guys because it's the same network that we're on now. Serial killers, supernatural, and murderers with, of course, our producer, the best producer in the world, Gwen Johns, and Dr. Leachana Brown, and, of course, Blaine Rowan. And we like to chat about all the serial killers, murderers in the world and the mind frame of some of them, and giving our little tidbits on how to avoid running into people like that, or how our children are raised and things to look out for. And we got to talk. It was pretty cool that we talked about, the murder with the Chicago Bears player. His girlfriend was pregnant, and supposedly another girl that he was with, and all that. And
Marnie,
you're intertwined as the photographer for her, so which is awesome.
I seem to be intertwined with a lot.
Yeah.
Because that tied me up a little bit with the Bears.
Yeah.
Then I was tied up with the Olympics back in Georgia in '96.
Oh, geez. When the bomber? Yeah.
I was the first Olympic head in Columbus.
Wow.
And we got the women's softball games.
Oh, okay.
We had to raise. Well, I talked the city into 1 cent sales tax increase. So we could get a whole list of stuff.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do with a 1 cent sales tax.
Yeah.
We spent millions and millions of dollars earmarked for the projects we named, and they voted back that tax back in 2 or 3 times so they could build more stuff. They built a soccer complex after that.
Did you come up with any good names for projects that are funny? Because you're spending so much money, or
No, we played it straight up and told people, okay, we're going to build a softball complex. We're going to fix our baseball stadium. We're going to build a new police station. We're going to build a new fire station with offices for the police and the fire, because they did not really have a home office. The police station was 50 years old. The central fire station had command and control scattered all over the city.
Jeez.
Two guys that should be in cubicles next to each other were having to use the phone because they were 15, 20 minutes away by car, away from each other.
Jesus. That doesn't
and they had
sound like
sometimes
yeah, that sounds like a mess.
Yeah, it was a total mess. So that's why we got that passed and got the Olympics. Although I was best man in this one guy's wedding, and just after the sales tax got voted in, his wife and him were in the market for a new car for her and a new motorcycle for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the sales tax kicked in just in time, and they had to pay that 1 cent sales tax on a brand new car and a brand new Harley.
Wow. That would
They're still mad at me.
That would make my life easier in sales if that was like that. So probably more people to buy stuff. So yeah.
They are still not speaking to me.
No, what are you gonna do?
This was 93, 94.
Yeah. What was I doing in 93, 94? Yeah, I was probably up to no good in 93, 94 myself, but that happens when you've been in the paranormal for 40 years, I guess. So.
Nah, I've only been in the paranormal 20, and every time I think that, I get another gray hair.
Yeah, my beard is pretty much telling me where my stress is in my beard and my teeth. You
can see mine. Of course, remember, I'll be 69 the first week in July.
Wow. You don't seem like you're at 69, I tell you. You're living good there, Len. You're living good, my friend.
Hey, I'm living out in the country, drinking deep well water here.
Yeah.
I don't drink alcohol very much. I kid Gwen about doing cocaine on the show.
Yeah.
You do remember that the original formula of Coca-Cola had cocaine in it.
Oh yeah. And a lot of people don't know is if you go way back when they had the vending machines, the Coca-Cola red was actually, the machines were all green. It was actually green at a time. And then with the military in action in the war, they took the green away and just made it all red. So yeah, there's some old machines classic ones that have the green in it.
Those are worth money.
Yeah.
By the way, Coke has the same hometown I do.
Yeah.
What I was talking about, Columbus, Georgia.
Yep.
The pharmacist that came up with it was handed the formula on his back porch right there on Lower Broad in Columbus, Georgia. Yeah, it wasn't big enough. Columbus was 15,000 to 18,000 people at the time.
Wow.
And so he couldn't get it started enough. So he moved to Atlanta, and that's where it became a hit. But he had a lot of people in Columbus, Georgia invest in it. So even to this day, the old money in Columbus, Georgia is Coca-Cola money.
Wow. That's pretty cool. It's funny how our towns and our areas have that history, and you really look at it. You're talking about the formula, and it's a pharmacist. So it reminds me of a story up here in Connecticut for a pharmacist. But what happened was there was a religious revival coming through Connecticut and through Hartford, and the people would take a train into Hartford and then back out. So it was like wintertime. So the place that they were having the revival was done. So they were coming up on this train through a town called Simsbury, which is nearby, and the train, up on the tracks collapsed, and the train went into a river, and a bunch of people died. So they were looking for help.
So the trestle collapsed.
Yeah. So these people are in the water and all that. So they're trying to get help. And at the time that this happened, a new invention was out, and only a few places had it, called the telephone. And this guy went to this pharmacy that had this telephone and called the hospital for help. And to this day, it's known in Simsbury, Connecticut, that phone call is called the first 911 call ever made.
Wow.
That happened in Connecticut. So talking about pharmacy and that thing, you never know what goes on at your old drugstore, I guess.
That's it.
So,
Hey, there used to be hangouts. There's still an old-fashioned drugstore not too far from here in Dumas, Arkansas.
yeah,
It's been around for 75, 80 years.
yeah,
And they used to make their money selling chili burgers.
yeah. Well, it's funny. A lot of people don't know the pharmacies back in the day. You have your pharmacy. When I was growing up in the town I lived in, there was a pharmacy / luncheonette / just regular little grab your stuff store called Oxley's Drugstore. And they had a little luncheonette breakfast place. That was one of my first jobs. I got paid under the table. I wasn't even 16 yet. And me and my friend would fill in for the older gentleman that ran the luncheonette. And he would cook, and I was short order. I would do like toast and stuff there. And, I worked at that place for a while. It took me through high school and all. And I always worked there. And I remember on Sundays, I would distribute the newspapers out and, just take care of the place. But yeah, I remember the little soda machines, taking the soda, and then you had the little flavoring. And I used to mix stuff up and see what kind of stuff I can make. But yeah, a lot of good memories there. So growing up, those drugstores like that style that they don't have anymore.
There was another one in Columbus, not quite as old as the one in Dumas, but they always had this huge crowd for lunch. The guy who was the cook, short order cook, older fella, even back then in the 70s, he was an older fella. You could ask him where the baby powder was. You could ask him where the Band-Aids are. You could ask him where the condoms are. Anything they said, and he knew what row they were on. He knew where everything was in that store.
Did he know where the ribbed condoms were? We had to make sure you know where the ribbed condoms were.
He probably did.
Okay, good. So that's important.
But what he did,
for her pleasure.
yeah. So Gwen is laughing now and probably turning red.
I do that to her.
But anyway, he sold a concoction he came up with himself. Yeah. What he did, he diced up his hot dogs. Remember I said scrambled dogs that involved the hot dog. He just cut them up in little pieces. Just literally diced them up. Cut them in half, cut it in half, and then dice the whole thing up. They could do it a lot quicker than that. And put it in a very, very good chili that he himself had come up with. And what he would do, he'd have a hot dog butt and just fill and put it in one of those little bowl things that you get hot dogs in baseball stadium. Made of cardboard. He would have a bigger bun than you can get in the grocery store. I don't know if he had it custom made or just got big buns. But anyway, he will open up that bun and just fill that whole bowl with that chili. And was it good?
Well, you're talking chili dog there, right there, man. So,
but he called it a scrambled dog because there was no hot dog in it.
Wow.
A chili dog properly is just you got a weenie and you got chili over it. Yeah. His weenie was diced up and mixed in with the chili. Yeah. And to this day, I will make a chili dog concoction where I'll put weenies in there, but I'll also dice up a couple of weenies and put it in my chili.
Wow. That's good.
It's good.
I tell you, you talk about food and man, I tell you, just history from where I live, just so you know, being in Connecticut, it's still on our sign. You drive into Connecticut and it said the pizza capital of the country. New Haven pizza, Pepe's, Modern, and anytime anybody comes into Connecticut, you got to have pizza. But a lot of people don't know is the first hamburger ever sold retail was in New Haven, Connecticut. Wow. So basically the hamburgers started there. But the other thing is people don't know is there's a thing called a steamed cheeseburger. That started in Connecticut also. So not only do we have great pizza, we have the beginnings of the hamburger. historical wise here in Connecticut. And the important thing is any of you watching right now, I do have a festival coming up. It's called the Connecticut Paracon with 2 N's, PARACONN, and it's .org. So you check out all the people that are coming. Probably some of the biggest names, of course, our big name is Butch Patrick, who played Eddie Munster on the Munsters, is going to be there. Also, John Zaffis will be there, the godfather of the paranormal, and just tons of people. Of course, our producer on the show tonight, Gwen Johns, will be there. So it's going to be a big event. It's July 12th and 13th in Waterbury, Connecticut, which another city, Waterbury's famous, is they had a lot of watches were being made in Waterbury at the time, way back in the day. And they had the little, before like the little backlighting, they would use like a nuclear, like what is it, the uranium or something like that with the paint.
In a nuclear bomb?
No, not in the nuclear bomb. But when they would use like this paint to make it glow. I think, what is it? You know, that type of chemical they would use for nuclear bombs. For life of me, I can't remember. But it's famous in Waterbury as a famous case because all the people that were making the watches at the time, they would hand paint them. So all these ladies were painting these watches. They would lick to make the pinpoint of the brush and put the numbers on these watches. Of course, all of them like ended up getting cancer to figure out that, hey, you know, this radium. Yeah, to make the things glow and all that. And that happened in Waterbury, and that's where we're having the Paracon. So there's a lot of history behind that. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. And when you drive into Waterbury, the other crazy thing is it's the Holy City. So when you drive in up on the mountain, you can see this huge cross, and they used to have the signs of the cross that you could go see in this little park. It's kind of run down now, but there's a lot of history behind Waterbury, and Waterbury is known as the Brass City because most of the brass in the United States at the time back in the day was being produced there. And so there's a lot of history there, which I always enjoy to have a Paracon at a place that has a lot of history like that, because with history brings that energy of the paranormal, and people that are going to come to Waterbury, it's going to be great. You know, Saturday and Sunday is the festival, but in between Saturday and Sunday at night, where our people could email us at ConnecticutParacon@gmail.com to get your reservation to ghost hunt with the one and only godfather of the paranormal, John Zaffis, and of course myself and some other special guests that'll be joining us as psychic mediums to make sure we bring out the experience for everybody that is able to get those limited tickets. There's only 30 available. And we will have a dinner and also just a talk and go over the equipment and go on a nice paranormal search. So that's going to be a hell of a weekend. I'm looking so forward to it, just to see a lot of old friends, some new friends, just the people that are able to come to see everything about paranormal and true crime that we're going to do for everybody that patronizes our event. So
cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. But I can't be there because that's a long walk from Arkansas.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a walk, but Len, I'm going to get you to one of these things because I definitely want to meet you in person, my friend. This is like our second time we've talked, and you know, I always love your energy, my friend, and just your background and some of the things that have happened in your life is always so interesting.
Yeah, like what we talked about before, a little bit before the show.
Yeah.
It's not everybody who can drive a car at 40, 45 miles an hour and have it within an inch or two of another car going the same speed.
Yeah.
And then people transfer out of the back of the truck to an open Jeep.
Yeah, that's still the trick of tricks in the you know, that's the warning you give. Don't try this at home, kids. These are for professionals. So, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. I think you told me it made it into a movie, or somebody copied
it's on the Burt Reynolds movie Hooper.
Yeah.
Even the motorcycle
Yeah.
They have this motorcycle. Usually they don't do a stunt in the movie unless it has something to do with the movie.
Yeah.
But to do the stunt like I did it, you got to have the cars like this,
Yep.
just within an inch or so of each other, and you got to have them split because the motorcycle came up out of nowhere and was going between the cars because we were in both lanes.
Yeah.
And the motorcycle was coming, and we either had to veer out a little bit or there was going to be a crash.
Yeah.
And a girl was out hanging over the side of my truck, had a 6-pack that I think had 2 beers left in it.
Yeah.
And he came through and snatched, he got his hand in that 6-pack. And we're going about 45 miles an hour this way. He's going about 50 this way. Combined speed was close to 100 miles an hour.
Oh, my God.
And he comes through there, reaches his hand up, snatches that 12-pack out of her hand, and never slows down.
Damn.
The girl just turned around, looked at him, and said, he didn't even say thank you.
Yeah.
Gave him a beer, too.
That he waited a little while before he opened that beer because that momentum and all that probably would have shook it up a little bit. Probably would have exploded in his face. So, but hopefully,
it's been riding in the back of my truck for a while, so it was probably a tad warm and quite shook up.
Well, hey, it's still amazing trick, and whoever witnessed that and put it into the Hooper movie is pretty amazing too. So,
and when I pulled up, I floorboarded it, pulled up, slammed on brakes, cut the wheel.
Yeah.
So I completely reversed, and then slammed on the gas again and pulled up beside him completely backwards like this. Pulled it within an inch or two, so my passenger could pass Miller Lite over to him, his passenger, because he wanted Miller. My passenger wanted Bud. They had Bud only. We had Miller Lite only.
Nice.
So we started exchanging beers through the window without having to lean their head out the window. They could just put the arm there. There you go. Here's a beer. Give me a beer.
Well, for me, it would have to be bourbon. You know, I'm a bourbon guy. So if you could give me a bottle of bourbon out the window at 45 miles an hour, I'd be happy with that too. So.
Of course, the question would be, since you've been in law enforcement, what do you think a police officer would have done? Remember, I'd already had 8 or 9 beers. I had one in my cup holder. I had one in my hand because I literally had to hand the beer to the guy and said, hold my beer when I had to flip because I took both hands to flip the car around. So I literally said, hold my beer.
Yeah. Me personally, if I saw that and how that got pulled off, I would have been like, I ain't touching that, man. I ain't touching that. That's amazing. I'd be like, you can't mess with perfection when it within an inch being in beer. Yeah, no. Some police officers are like, I'm just going to let that one go. That's one of those situations where you just let it go. So, because it's too amazing to screw up and mess with.
It was, when I think back, it was just amazing that I did it. Of course, I almost stood up in the theater screaming.
Yeah.
The person I was with had to calm down.
Yeah, they stole your shit, man. They should give you at least a few bucks.
The only credit I got was one scene they filmed on Smoking the Bandit. They put I was in a ranchero.
Yeah.
They put a ranchero in Smoking the Bandit. And then in Hooper, when the police officer pulls them over, he gives them all tickets.
Yeah.
Speeding.
Yeah.
And the last car to drive through the camera scene was a ranchero painted like mine. Yeah.
Well, hey, at least they gave you credit, but hey, could have probably used a few bucks for that too. So
I could have used a few bucks. Hey, I'd have took a case or 2 of beer.
At least, a stunt credit or writing credit or something.
Something.
Yeah.
I'd take a couple of cases of course.
Yeah, there you go. That would have been good. But then again, in the scene, what was it? You said Bud and Miller Lite and what you guys are passing back and forth. Mm-hmm. I'll forgive you for that. I'm more of a bourbon guy, so I would have been passing out some Buffalo Trace or something back and forth. Or of course,
kind of hard to pull shot glasses.
Yeah, of course, because there is a rabbit hole bourbon because I am the down the rabbit hole guy. So Yeah, usually I reserve Rabbit Hole for my friends when we go up to Salem for the Salem Paracon that I do every year too. So that's always a big one. But yeah, it's always fun. That's a really good bourbon. It's a little expensive, but I like to share the good stuff with my friends when we're all together up there. Yeah.
I go with Jim Beam, Jack Daniels.
Oh yeah,
Maker's Mark is pretty good.
yeah. Well,
Travelers is real good.
Maker's Mark right here. Yeah, the Chris Stapleton Travelers. So yeah, that's made by Buffalo Trace. It all started. Chris Stapleton had a relationship with the E.H. Taylor brand, which is part of Buffalo Trace. So it takes time. So a few years before it gets to where it needs to be. So I think in the time that he was doing E.H. Taylor, putting his name on it, that other stuff was fermenting very well for everybody with the Traveler's bourbon. And it's really good. I like it too. Yeah.
Oh, there was another incident, kind of like you just mentioned. If you were a police officer, you say, okay, I let this go.
Yep.
At 3 o'clock in the morning. Small town, and we're talking about a town, 15 buildings.
Yeah.
On Main Street, on the highway. I was going to Savannah and if you look at a map, Georgia, Columbus, Georgia, is on one side. We call it the West Coast on the Chattahoochee River. Savannah's on the coast, literally.
Yeah.
And I had to get to Savannah as quick as I could.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get a little sleep, and I had a 9 o'clock meeting, 8 or 9 o'clock meeting. I was going to get about 2 or 3 hours sleep, and I wanted those 2 or 3 hours. But here I come, doing well over 100 miles an hour.
Nice.
Enter the town, and I see railroad tracks coming up. So I slowed down to about 70, 75. And just as I'm about to jump the railroad tracks, a sheriff's car pulls up to a stop sign in the highway.
Yeah.
I go straight by him in a 20 zone at least 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'm not going to pull over. He's going to have to come after me. I'm not going to sit there and pull off to the side and say, you got me. And he doesn't even have his lights on. So I just floored it, quickly got up to about 120.
Damn.
But the time I got by him, I turned off my headlights, and I had these great big, like this, off-road driving lamps you normally put on a truck.
Yeah.
I reached down a switch and flipped them on, which means my tail lights and my tag light were out.
Nice.
And all he saw was those bright lights lighting up the woods going out of town. He sat there, I guess, long enough to see if there was anybody in front of me he could radio to stop me.
Yeah.
And I kept on looking, and just before he went out of sight, he just slowly crossed the road and just went straight across.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some states that they're not allowed to pursue just for safety reasons. I don't know if that was the fact at the time, but it's funny that you say Savannah because my daughter graduated from SCAD a couple of years ago in Savannah.
Okay.
And I got to go down there. Yeah, and I know the funny thing is I'm going down and I'm flying down. Of course, me being the ghost guy I am, I was like, okay, what's the most haunted hotel I could stay in? So I ended up staying in, was it the 1770 something? Can't remember the name of it, but it was on a couple shows. I think it was on Ghost Hunters or whatever. The lore behind it was a woman jumped to her death because she was depressed that her seafaring boyfriend never came back or something. But I mean, I had a lot of weird things happen in that hotel. I wanted to stay in the most haunted room, but unfortunately it was taken. And they have it all decorated, like, it's the most haunted room. But there was a couple I met in the bar one night when, the long weekend I was there. And they say they go from hotel to hotel all across the country just to stay in the most haunted rooms. So they got it from me. So I was just, asking them questions. But even in my own room, I had weird stuff happen. And, I think the first night I was there, I felt the mattress go down, like something was sitting at the end of the bed. And on the last night, I was laying there and I was like, I just made myself turn really quick. there's a chair that was next to the bed, and there was a light, and I could feel something like click, 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 and I looked, and I could see a mist go from the light to the chair and then just dissipate. And then
Wow.
all of a sudden later on, I could hear, the old little brass stuff that's on the dressers and all that little brass, like picking up click, 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 trying to get my attention and all that. So I tried to talk to what was there, and then it calmed down. So I'm kind of assuming it dissipated because I acknowledged it, which was good. I think it was just trying to get my attention, but that was pretty amazing. But just that whole town of Savannah, just you could walk everywhere, and it's amazing. And I'm so proud of my daughter for putting in all the work that she did to, graduate with an animation major. And she's doing really well. She's living up in Portland, Maine now, and in a really art community. So I'm proud of her. I'm proud of all my kids. I got my 2 boys, my 2 girls, and so they're all out of the house. So that's why I'm doing more stuff like this with, of course, you, Len, and traveling all over the country, just talking about paranormal and true crime and stuff like that. Whoever wants me there to grace their Paracons or whatever they got going on, just to talk about my background, and it's always fun, and I'm always grateful for that.
Well, you got the kids out of the house. It's time to go have fun. We never had. It hurts when the grass needs cutting. I got to go do it myself.
Yeah.
But we never had children, so now you're in my boat. You don't have no kids at home. It's time to do stuff like, hey, we can do podcasts. That's an idea.
I know. There you go. Well, two of the boys and the girl are still in town nearby. So if I'm traveling, I need the grass cut, I'm going to call one of them. But
there you go.
I usually do it myself anyways. And yeah, up here in Connecticut, it's crazy because, not only all the stuff I'm doing, I have a full-time job, and it seems like every time I have a day off, it rains. And then finally, when it stops raining and I do get an opportunity, my grass is so long, it's like I got to mow it like 2-3 times just to, because the platform on the mower, I got to get up high enough so it doesn't stall. It's just a pain in the ass, and I hate it. I
don't have that next time.
Yeah.
Did Gwen tell you that I've been really disabled the past week?
No. What's going on?
I had a toe swell up on me last Thursday.
Jesus.
It started in the morning. Got out of bed, and my whole left big toe was red.
Yeah.
And was swelled up. I couldn't move it. So Friday, I went to the local doctor, and of course he was on vacation. Oh no, wait a minute. That was Wednesday of last week. It's been over a week. Went to there Thursday, and then looked at it Friday, and they gave me a couple of antibiotics. They knocked it down a little bit, but then they did some tests of the stuff that was in the toe.
Yeah.
And I had staph.
Jesus.
Yes, in my big toe. And I still can't put on a normal pair of shoes. I struggle to walk on it. And remember today, I went to Walmart, had to load 2 air conditioners. Now not big. You saw how small this one is. But I put them in the buggy. Then I had to take them out of the buggy, put them in the car. I had to get out of the car, walk up 4 steps to get them in the house. In doing all that with a stone bruise on my right heel and what's left of an infected toe, that yesterday I was at a foot doctor, and he ripped the nail of it off.
Oh my God. You want to know the problem with that for you, Len?
What?
Is it's very detrimental to your career on OnlyFans when you do your feet pics for OnlyFans. So you're not going to be making any money anytime soon.
Nope. Well, my feet aren't that big. I wear a size 11 shoe.
Damn. Yeah, you're right there with me. I'm like 11 and a half, 12 sometimes, depending on the shoe. So,
some 10 and a half will fit, but most of the time it's 11. In fact, I bought 3 shoes. I got 2 slip-ons, 2 pair of slip-ons, and a pair of nighttime shoes. Yeah, I was there at Walmart. Bought some donuts.
Yeah, well, you might as well go barefoot right now to get that toe healed. And
I've been walking around. Well, I'm always in the house barefoot.
Well, that's good because you got to heal, because your OnlyFans want you back,
Yeah.
So all those people that want your feet pics are wondering when's Len's feet pics gonna come back. We don't want to see that red toe.
Yeah, I got to put the UV lit nail polish on them, so they kind of I can put them under a black light, and they kind of glow like the posters behind me.
There you go.
Actually, these aren't posters; these are tapestries. You can't buy posters anymore. That's 60s. This is on thin cloth.
Wow. You sure your toe doesn't have radium in it, like the ladies that painted the watches in Waterbury, Connecticut?
I hope not. I don't know. I can set it up here.
Well, just don't be licking your own toe. You should be okay.
Yeah. You kind of see it here.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I can actually bend it.
Dude, you're only supposed to do that on OnlyFans so they could pay you. You can't be giving people free merchandise.
I gave them 2 or 3 seconds free.
You have to advertise, I guess. You got to do the commercial.
Yeah, I guess I should be sending this to my what do they call it when you put the short video on YouTube?
The reels.
No, not the reels. They got where they put the full video. Patron.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's all they get on YouTube.
Yeah, there you go.
If you want to see the whole foot or see the right foot, Patreon. If you want to see me do crazy things with the feet, paint them up, that's on Fans Only.
Yeah. So
if you want if you want to see me play with my feet, not wearing any pants, you gotta go to something a little bit more like four.
I tell you, Len, I think we have gone off the rails. Especially going off the rails at 75 miles an hour over a train track with the popo chasing you for a little bit. But yeah.
By the way, I got to Savannah perfectly safe and in record time. Of course, there was the time that I was in a hurry to get home from New Orleans. Yeah. And I crossed 3/4 of Alabama, all of Mississippi.
Yep.
And a little bit of Louisiana at 140 miles an hour.
Damn, dude.
I put it on 140 and kept it there.
Yeah, I check out at 120. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good after 120. I was like, that's a little too much for me. But,
The fastest I've ever driven was 175. I was in a Jaguar.
Wow. I can't imagine what that's like.
You gotta think what's ahead of you. You gotta look as far as you can see, because you can't stop on a dime at 175 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If you hit something, it's going to look like NASCAR. And you probably without a roll cage in it, you're probably not going to live through it.
Yeah, I remember way back when I moved to Florida before I got my appointment to work, as a crisis negotiator, working in the prison system and all that. So I had to sell cars until I could get my appointment. And I remember they were introducing this new car, and we went into Orlando, and there was actual race car drivers that you would ride along with, and they would show you how the car could do what it could do. And I'm trying to remember. There was a family of race car drivers, Andretti's.
Andretti's, yes.
So at the time, he was maybe 16, 17 years old. Marco Andretti I got to sit with him and drive around in a Dodge SRT4. And he drove me around. He wasn't anybody at the time, and he ended up being a really good race car driver, the family name.
The youngest one, ran Indy. Now, he wrecked, I think, in the first or second lap.
Yeah.
This past Indy. He was racing, what was it, Sunday?
But I tell you, I was like, this kid barely has his driver's license, and he's doing all these tricks in this car, and I'm sitting there holding on for dear life, just seeing what this car does, and just seeing him progress in the race car world was pretty amazing, and getting to meet him at such a young age was pretty cool. So that, it's a highlight of the time I was in Florida, and pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, we both met some crazy people.
Yeah, yeah. So I've sat in the passenger seat with some crazy drivers. So but
I got to meet. I think his name was Stanley Puffo.
okay.
Do you know who that is?
Not familiar, but
Did you watch much wrestling in the 80s and 90s?
oh god, yeah.
WWE with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. My favorite wrestler growing up was Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But after that, you had Hulk Hogan, and you had the Macho Man.
Yeah, Randy Savage.
I said Stan. I meant Randy. That was my mistake. Randy Puffo.
Yeah.
Is what became Randy Macho Man.
Yeah.
And I met him when I think he was 18 or 19.
Yeah.
Wrestling with his older family.
It's funny, he was a baseball player for a little while too. He has an actual baseball. He has a baseball card before he got really into the wrestling. Yeah. So
it's funny the people that play baseball. You know, Joan Jett. Got a tryout with a professional team, but of course, baseball rules they can't have a female player.
Yeah.
And some of the scouts said that she would probably easily start on a AA team.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
I got to meet her. That was an interesting conversation. I met my teenage crush, and I couldn't believe it. I said, I am standing here talking to Joan Jett.
Isn't that crazy?
I said, what am I doing here?
Well, a lot of people don't, people know I'm in the paranormal. They know my past background, but what people don't know, when I was in high school, you have to work in the summer and then college, you come back, you work for the summer just to make money and all that, to make sure you have enough money for books and stuff like that,
To get laid.
Yeah, exactly. So, but my job, I was a bodyguard, backstage security at a facility called Lake Compounds in Bristol, Connecticut, through high school into college. And my job was I worked backstage security. And, I had to make sure I checked the passes, make sure the people who are backstage were supposed to be there. So I got to meet some of these great people, but probably the most crazy thing that ever happened was I was part of history. So if you guys don't remember, it was back in the 80s when I was still in high school working backstage. Of course, I didn't know what was going on at the time until next day on MTV, that I was working the concert when Milli Vanilli was caught lip syncing.
Ooh.
And that was in Bristol, Connecticut, and that's where it happened. Wow. So that's the history. But even beyond that, there was even the thing where every time Guns N' Roses would come to Connecticut, it's like, oh, the concert got canceled. Axl Rose wasn't feeling good. I was on the crew that was supposed to go pick them up at the hotel. And Axl Rose was so messed up on stuff, at the time, that they would cancel. And then they just say whatever they were going to say to cancel the show. But, you see those inside things and crazy stuff. You remember who the Jeff Healey was, the blind guitar player?
Okay, vaguely.
Yeah, back in the 80s. So Jeff Healey just wanted to go on the roller coaster. So I'd have to take him on the roller coaster. It's like, what is a blind guy going to have fun on a roller coaster? But it's that feeling of going up and down like really quickly, I guess. And then the other crazy one was Steve Miller at the time. Steve Miller Band was very into exercise. So he really liked exercise, and he would have these stationary bikes. He'd work out before the show. He wanted to go on a bike ride. So I had to bike ride with him, through some of the streets of Bristol and all that. It was just crazy. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to get hit by a freaking car with Steve Miller and stuff. But, that
would have made some headlines.
Yeah, but I got to meet a lot of people that I really looked up to, a lot of heroes. I loved music, and I'm a guitar player. I'm a singer-songwriter. I spent time in Nashville and trying to make my way. Didn't work out for me. Then the kids started coming along. But the thing was one of my favorite guitar players ever is Eric Johnson. If you don't know what Eric Johnson is, he was one of the first people to ever have a #1 hit on the charts that was all instrumental. The song was called Cliffs at Dover. And, you know, just a great guitar player, everything about it. So that same Steve Miller show, he was opening up for Steve Miller. And of course, I don't get star-shocked a lot, but that's my favorite guitar player. And he's there. And the thing that got crazy was I'm sitting there talking to him, and he gave me a couple guitar picks, and we're just chatting and all that. He had some Chucks on, and he had to tie his shoe. So he's tying his shoe. Hey, can you hold my guitar for me while I tie my shoe?
Oh, you got
That's
to
a
hold it.
big thing for a guitar player when he's walking around to hand
That's
somebody.
huge.
And it
That
felt
is
like,
huge.
for me, it felt like, hey, our conversation, this guy trusted me as a fellow guitar player to hold his guitar while he tied his shoes. I'll never forget that. That was a big thing for me. And, you know, I'm so grateful for
Yeah.
those memories. Being there for the Milli Vanilli thing, Steve Miller, just all these things I'm talking about. It's funny what life will bring you, whether it be in music, of course, in the paranormal, all the people I've met in the paranormal, I'm so grateful for. Just, you know, working in law enforcement, all the guys that I stood side by side with to make sure that nobody escaped out of the prisons and everybody was safe. Just the profiling that I was able to do, and just the work that went into it, and just still the work that I do now has, you know, being the archangel of the paranormal, working as one of the main council members of the Warren Society, Wardruna, the Healing Society, that we help people, you know, with medical doctors, everything you could think of. The Holy Sword Apostolate, we do have, you know, Catholic priests and Orthodox priests. We all work together as a unit, which is unheard of nowadays in the paranormal. There's so much infighting and all that, but for our group, we just stick together from all different forms. You know, you think about it. Myself, one of my partners, Stacia Wills, has Wardruna, and then Father Bob Bailey and Father Ken Torres that we work very closely with. You think about it, if you were having the worst day of your life paranormal wise and you can't figure it out, how would you feel if 2 shamans and 2 priests walked into your house to be able to help you? You know, that's what we provide, has the 3 pillars, the Warren Society, Wardruna, and the Holy Sword Apostolate. So it's great. And then we provide the ability for you to be able to meet all of us and know what we do with the events that I do with the shaman and the showman with my partner Charles. We do these paracons and all that. So it's an educational thing. You get to meet a lot of people that are intertwined with us and all that to help with the paranormal, your true crime questions, anything that you could think of. And it makes me very happy. You know, my kids have all moved out of the house, and you know, oh yeah, there's Stacia there. I am so grateful for her in my life. You never know the people that you meet in your life that level you up. She's one of those people that has leveled me up beyond what I could imagine. To be able to help people, just to hear their stories, to be able to help spirit, to be able to help our clients, that's very important. And a lot of the paracons that we do, we want people to meet us. We want them to know that we're there to help them. We want to help the living and the dead, and that's what we do, and educate. So it's very important that we're on shows like this, especially with you, Len, because you are a good dude, and I love your energy, and I love our chats about just other stuff. So it isn't just about a paranormal sometimes, just about life, our experiences, and what we could pass on to people, whether we're passing beers back and forth in a car going, you know, how fast we were going, 75 miles an hour, whatever you want to do, and living at the seat of our pants, and being able to laugh with each other and talk about this stuff. That's the power of the paranormal. That's the power of what we do and how we're intertwined. And it's amazing. And I so appreciate anytime I'm on a podcast like yours or anybody's to be able to have these conversations, to help people out there to know that there are people like myself, in the groups that I'm part of, to be able to help each other with their issues, or just to level them up, or just to be there spiritually for them, or anything that you could think of. Um, I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for a lot of things in my life, but that's what it is. And I really look back on things, and anything I've ever done in my life has led me to this point. And, that's what it is. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. Everything you experienced brought you to this point, and that's what it's all about. Just a lot of love for that, my friend.
Wait, you sound like you're happy where you are.
I am very grateful for where I'm at. Nothing's perfect.
Of course
but
not.
I do know that I have purpose. And I always pray for everybody to have purpose. Everybody's always looking, what is my purpose in life? I know what my purpose is, and I think that's what makes me so grateful. The people in my life, people like Stacia Wills, who's very important to me. Her and I have worked very closely to make Wardruna what it is. People like Joe Frankie to make the Warren Society what it is. My friends Father Ken and Father Bob to make the Holy Sword Apostolate what it is. We all intertwine together. And that's the thing is, Len, you're in the paranormal, there's people that have big egos and just, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I could show this, I'm go to this location. It's not what it's all about. It's all about community. It's all of us working together to find solution for the living and the dead. And I'm very grateful for my time with Wardruna and helping the Warren Society, helping the Holy Sword Apostolate, and just providing that platform for all of us through the Paracon and all the events that my buddy Charles and I do as the shaman and the showman. It's all intertwined, and it's an amazing thing. And I just hope people grasp onto that and know that it isn't about ego. It's about all of us coming together and just loving what we do and helping the living and the dead.
And one thing we have in common, we're all human.
Yeah.
I don't know any paranormal people who are not human. You might.
Yeah, they could be alien. I don't know. I'm still wondering about Jimmy Petanino. I think he's half alien, half human, but that's another story.
But you're right about the egos, and
Yeah.
It's bad when people have gotten a show, and then they start tending to looking down at everybody.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. Just because you're on a show means nothing. You're an entertainer. You're on and you film for a little while, but it's not the full thing. When you sit down with a client that is desperate and so afraid of what's going on in their home, and to solve their issue, and them be able to sleep at night, and take back the power of their home. I don't care what TV show you're on, it makes no difference. It's about that human connection, and being able to do that. And again, I will tell people till I'm blue in the face, if you have ego and you think you're better than anybody else, you'll be so far away from spirit that you'll never be able to help anybody. And I think you're to the point you won't be able to help yourself. Until
Right.
you know your purpose and you're able to face yourself in the mirror and know that I am here to help and I'm comfortable with who I am. And without that, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're in the wrong business if you're not helping the living and the dead. I'm
Right.
sorry.
If you're in it for fame or you're in it for fortune, you're in the
Yeah.
wrong business. Because it's hard to make a living with paranormal.
Yeah. You know what? Fortune, God forbid, I am so in the hole for helping people and all that, but I will go poor if I could help somebody sleep at night. That's worth it. that's like money right there for me in my mind. But that's what my calling is. People have different callings, but I'm going to stick with my calling. I don't care what anybody says. Again, I'm on my own personal journey, my own experiences, everything that happens, what I give to my clients, what I give to spirit. That's personal, you know, and I think that's what people need to remember is we're on our own journeys. We have our own experiences and all that, but we have to be happy with who we are. And when you're happy with who you are, you exude that energy and people around you are drawn to that. And that's what we need to do.
Wait, you notice that I'm pretty happy where I am.
You are. I love your energy, Len. You're the awesome. I love talking with you, man. We're just chatting like we're drinking Miller Lights and Buds and passing them back and forth and speeding cars going backwards. So, you know, that's what it's all about, my friend.
Because I am doing about all I can do. I'll be 69 in about 4.5 weeks.
Okay.
The
We're gonna
third
have a big birthday cake for you, my friend.
And find me a prostitute and blow out the candles. I have trouble
There you
taking
go.
it, especially with 69 candles. That's not candles. That's a bonfire.
I'll send you some really good cocaine for you. How does that sound?
Okay, that'll work. But
It'll be getting funner, though.
2 artificial knees.
Yeah.
I can't do the big places. Waverly Hills, forget about it. I couldn't even walk through that whole place.
No.
The only thing, if I went in there with somebody else, I would say, okay, let me walk maybe I'll walk around the first floor, walk around on the second, maybe I'll peek into the third. That's about all I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to find me a room on the first or second floor and bring me a nice folding chair that's really comfortable, set up my equipment and say, I'm here. If you want to walk through it, say something. Huh?
I want to challenge a lot of these places that people pay, they go and they investigate and all that. I challenge them to give me a call. You know where you could find me. Give me a call. Let me come to your location and heal the ones that want to not be there anymore. None of them want me to come and do that. I don't understand it, and still to this day.
The only explanation I can give you.
Yeah, let me bring my team in. Let me bring in myself. Let me bring in Stacia Wills. Let me bring in Father Bob. Let me bring in Father Ken. Let me bring in Joe Frankie, you know, even to the point where, you know, let's bring in John Zaffis or something. Let's get to the bottom of it.
Joe Frankie is such a cool name. Yeah,
Joe is unbelievable. He's been my friend for a while, and it's funny because, you know, my wife and his wife have known each other for 40 years, and Joe and I met Ed and Lorraine around the same time. I was 15, he was 18, and we've known them for years. And Joe kept working with them for years, for over 30 years, working side by side with them and learning from Ed, especially sitting in his office, looking at the case files and knowing this stuff and learning about demonology and the things that we could pass on to a new generation with education. The building blocks, you know, Ed and Lorraine Warren, were they 100% right? No, nobody is. It's the paranormal. No. You're never 100% right or wrong about it, but they provided building blocks, and anything that didn't make sense to them, we learned to make sense of it. And we keep learning as the days go. And we want to keep that learning style alive. And that's what we do. It is important. And when people don't know where to go, whether they're having issues, whether it be psychiatric issues, paranormal, anything like that, we have our Wardruna Society where we help people. It's HIPAA protected. We have psychologists. We have people to the point where they're doing EMDR, you know, where they can help with that. You name it. You know, we even have a person that is a dietitian that can help you with depression. So you have all that medical side covered. And then when you come really into the religious side of it, where you just need prayer, your faith needs to come back into a situation where you find your faith again. That's where the Holy Sword Apostolate comes in. Those 3 pillars nowadays are bringing the paranormal and putting it on its head. Those 3 things together, us all working together, is changing the paranormal. I think for a different situation where I think it's very important that people look at it that way. It's not about yelling at the spirits, challenging them, putting your videos on YouTube to get likes or anything like that. It comes down to really asking yourself, why am I doing this? And the reason why most of us do this, hopefully, is to help the living and help the dead. And that's what we do, and all these things intertwine. So that's really the question you want to ask yourself. And that's why we educate people to really look at it that way. We can't go forward until we realize what it's all about.
But to answer your question,
Hey, Pam.
Why these people don't want you going in there doing that? You remove the spirits that they're making money off of.
Exactly, and they feel like
you go in Ashmore Estates.
Yeah.
You go in there, and I haven't been in Ashmore Estates in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But you go in there, and the spirits that people talk to, run into commonly now. I do not know them. Like I said, I haven't been in there in 20 years.
Yeah.
If you say, would you like to move on? And you help all them move on.
Yeah.
What are the owners of Ashmore Estates going to do?
They're going to be pissed.
Extraordinarily so, because you just took their income away from them.
But
that's like taking somebody's job away.
Yeah, but you got to remember something. It's not our job to keep spirits imprisoned because of money. Money and imprisoning spirits is just as bad as anything evil out there.
I've done
opinion. But the thing is when I go to these places, I'm not going to make all your spirits leave. The thing is people got to realize that my spirit guides will reach out to me, and through ITC device will call my name when something needs help. Okay? And I'm going to help it no matter what you say. I don't care what you say. I'm never going to let something that wants to make that transition, But the thing is, people got to realize once it does transition, it has the free will to come back and visit. It's not.
I can give you an example of that I've run into.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of my past you know of, or what all we've talked about before.
Yeah.
But that one thing that I did. You remember the White Lady of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery?
Yeah, I think I remember you mentioned that when we were talking.
The picture that Judy Huff took when she was working with Dale Kazmarek.
Mm-hmm.
Picture that was checked twice by Zach Bagans with photographic professionals, and said that the negative was not messed with.
Yeah,
I found out who that is, and then I got her, instead of being stuck, she was coming in there every evening right at dusk.
Yeah.
To get the spirit of her firstborn child, which is still buried at Bachelor's Grove.
Yep.
And get her out of there before the bad spirits come around.
Yeah.
Because literally that place is day and night. You can go in there and contact very cooperative spirits during the day. At night, they will test you. That cemetery was closed. It was desecrated. They had a lot of locals coming in there drinking beer, getting drunk, kicking over headstones, breaking stuff. You name it, they did it.
Yeah, that creates so much negative energy to bring things in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And they would test you at night, but she did not want that child who died at 11 months and 4 days to see all that. And the child, of course, being slightly less than a year old, did not know how to move.
Yeah.
She started communication with me, And then she managed to follow me home once on her own without her mother's help.
Yep.
And she started doing that repeatedly, and her mother didn't seem to know about this. And one night she was running up and down our hallway at 3 o'clock in the morning, and my wife screams, "Libby May, you need to go home." She was still running up and down the hallway. She tried, "Amelia, come get your child. I've got to go to work in the morning."
Yeah. Creating your boundaries.
And
do that.
Amelia, her name is Amelia Patrick Humphrey.
Mm-hmm.
She opened a portal over our bed,
Jesus.
came through that portal, and got the spirit of her child, and closed the portal.
Yeah.
And it was a loud pop because, of course, you open stuff up and it closes, the air moves.
Yeah. Oh, it
goes
amazing.
Supersonic, it moves.
Yeah. I've been in situations where we've closed portals on both sides, the incoming and the outgoing, and yeah, it's amazing that the sounds that you get.
Mm-hmm. You got that that air breaks the speed of sound.
Mm-hmm.
She got her child, and later I told her, I said, "Look, I'm moving. I'm not coming here anymore," which made them both kind of sad.
Yep.
But I told her, I said, "Look, you did not lead a good life. Your husband didn't take you that many places.
Yeah.
He was a state senator, and he was having an affair the entire time they were married."
Okay.
And 6 months after she died, he married his secretary.
Yeah, I could see where the energy would move on that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense.
And he did not like me because I was investigating, and one of the few investigators that got into the house that John Humphrey built.
Yeah.
And his bedroom was all set up, kind of like a museum. They give you tours of it. But in his bedroom, because you remember, men and women used to spend the night in different bedrooms.
Yeah, the Lucy, Desi, separate beds and all that. Yeah.
Right. But they got to sleep in the same room. Back in the 1800s, they usually slept in separate bedrooms. If you had a house that big where you had a bedroom like that,
yeah,
slept in separate rooms.
Yeah.
But mainly because I got flies in here since we had the window open for so long, installing the air conditioner. But anyway, he had his hat, not a replica, not a fake, not somebody else's they found at a yard sale, his beaver skin hat, because he was only about 5'5".
Jeez.
And you know how a lot of people, you've met people 5'5" before.
Yeah.
They have the little dog syndrome.
Yeah, they have the what is it, Napoleon complex. Yeah.
Exactly. And Napoleon was my height. Napoleon was 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah. But
he wasn't that short.
He was short. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, to have a trigger object, I put his hat on my head. Needless to say, he is still furious about that.
That's because you're probably taller than 5'5". That's why he was mad.
Yeah, I'm 5'9", right at 5'10". But he got furious about that. His first wife, Amelia, thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So that's how we got to be kind of buddy, and I could talk to her anytime I walked into Bachelor's Grove.
Yeah.
But I said, "Look, you never saw the world." I said, "You would be amazed at what you can see. Paris, London, Athens, Rome, even Moscow has got beauty."
Yeah.
And I said, "Go. You take Libby and your other kids," because there was 2 or 3 kids that hung around. 2 of them actually died young.
Yeah.
One just over a year. Another one died, I think, 14. But they disappeared. And the only person that I know of who can get Amelia to come back to that cemetery is Dale Kazmarek, whose group took the picture to start with.
Yeah.
And I think anybody else calls her name, she kind of ignores them unless she knows them. They come in there and make themselves kind of known. Yeah. But as far as I know, that I've been told, Dale is the only person who can call her. Is Amelia here? Would you like to talk? And she will come in and answer.
Yeah. It's amazing how that spiritual world, that connection, even beyond the veil, of how some people are attached to certain people. Hey, who's to know that, in a past life they were connected at one point. There's just that difference of that generation. That's why they're connected, and that's why they answer each other at the times they do. We all have that thing, we could be attached to somebody on a different plane, and it's just recognized in that certain situation. So it is amazing how those things happen sometimes, and it's so supernatural and paranormal all at the same time. I think that's why we all do this, because it is amazing to witness.
Yes, and you've lived through it. I lived through it.
Yep.
And fortunately, there's actually people who will listen to just a local podcast. I'm just amazed at the technology that we can use, where I can sit in my den. I don't know what room of your house you're sitting in.
Yeah.
All nice and comfy. Of course, you've got a bare wall and some kind of certificate with a shelf.
Well, see, that is my family. That's my family crest. That's the history of my family, the Gormley name. And let me see. Let me take it down here for a second. So,
I knew it was nice looking.
yeah. So it has my family crest on it. Do you
have a motto
here? It just has the whole history of my family on it, and I have that, and I like to have that in the background. When I'm on these podcasts, because your family name is everything. That's your history. That's your lineage. That makes you who you are. That's your ancestors. That you have that generational bond, whether it be the trauma or the bond of the love that you have for a family that goes beyond that. I think it's very important that I have it in the background when I do these shows, because that's who I am, especially with working with my friend Stacia Wills as Wardruna. We help people with the generational trauma, that ancestral stuff, to break those chains if there is anything negative. That's one of the main focuses of that through healing. But even with everything that we do, there is that light at the end of the tunnel, and we want to provide that for people, whether it be with the Warren Society, with, of course, Wardruna, with the Holy Sword Apostolate, and again, educational stuff. So I think it is very important. So.
Well, that in family wise, you're talking to one of the most broken people you've probably ever talked to.
Yeah.
I was adopted at birth. I have no idea who my biological father is, although several psychics have told me that he died in Vietnam, and does follow me around, kind of keeps me out of real trouble.
Yeah.
But doesn't talk to me. He was ghost box, echo box, whatever. He will not speak to me. One psychic said he feels like he doesn't deserve to talk to you.
Well, that's trauma right there. Even in spiritual realm like that, somebody like myself, and the people that I work with, we are able to help spirits work through that trauma to be able to get in contact with somebody like yourself.
See,
they feel like they don't deserve it, but they do. They
do.
Deserve.
I would love to talk to him.
Yeah. And hey, anytime, Len, if I could ever provide that for you, I would definitely do that, because you're a great friend. I appreciate you having me on the podcast tonight. And I do have people that I work with. If I can't get through, they're going to get through. We always have somebody in our group that, if I can't meet the expectation, they're there to pick up the slack. So there is no, difference in what we all do to help. That's what it's all about, helping the living and the dead. And sometimes the dead needs to have that connection back to the living to make those amends. If your father did die during Vietnam or anything like that, he still has a story to tell. And I think that's important to you, to help you on your own journey. Even though you're 69, it doesn't matter doesn't matter how old we get. We could be 103. There's still that moment that we need to help us on our journey.
And that's why I appreciate all the good people that I've met in the paranormal, because they say things like that, and I feel better. Because my father and I were hardly my adoptive father.
Yeah.
And I were hardly speaking when he passed away.
Yeah.
His family did never like my mother.
Yeah.
My mother is my adoptive mother was she should never have gotten married.
Yeah.
Very, very. You hate to talk bad about your mother, but very, very low IQ.
But
Didn't
that's
understand
okay.
anything.
That's what was provided to you on your journey. You should be grateful for that. Doesn't matter what anybody else says.
Yeah.
It matters what you took in. And anytime, Len, anytime you want to talk, I do have, like, my friend Stacia would be able to help you with that type of transition if you want to. This is always provided you free of cost because you are a good friend. And if this could help you, get answers for what, you feel, we're going to provide that for you. And I think that's important.
Yeah. But family crest, I can't use my father's family because my mother's side, she, by the way, was born and raised not too far from where Gwen lives.
Yeah.
She was actually born in Greenville, South Carolina.
Really?
But yeah, they had an arranged marriage for her. She got out of high school, married a guy, and they had issues, and she walked out.
Okay.
When she walked out on her husband because of abuse, her family, instead of helping her and said, "What do you mean this guy backhanded you? What are you talking about?" They disowned her.
Interesting.
And my father's family, he married her, but mainly because he felt sorry for her. His mother almost never spoke to his wife because he was the baby. He was the last one born, and they thought he married beneath his station. He was the pick of the litter.
Okay.
The smartest one, the brightest one with the best future, and he married a woman they didn't even want to speak to.
Yeah.
And then they had to adopt kids because she could not have children, could not physically have children.
Yeah.
And so when they adopted my sister and I, the grandmother, which was in her early 80s at this point, my father was 37 when I was born, and he was the baby. So I had cousins 30 years older than I was.
Wow.
First cousins. I have a few second cousins where the oldest child had his older sister had a child. Her grandchild was older than I was.
Wow.
But so I had no relations with cousins. Still don't speak to any of them. Most of them are dead now.
Jeez.
Because the second youngest cousin is 4 years older than I am. She's still around, but she's in her early 70s now, and she's not near mid 70s. She doesn't get around a whole lot. But the grandmother hardly ever spoke to my mother, and could not hardly stand the sight of me, my sister, and my mother.
Wow.
And my father insisted on taking us down there to her house and visit with her 3 or 4 times a year, trying to sell his own mother on his wife and children. Or if it'd been me, I wouldn't even gone down there, not with a family. I may have gone down there to see them by myself, but I wouldn't have dragged the family with me.
Yeah. Len, I really got to look at this. Us talking tonight, hearing your story and all that, really outside of this podcast, I'd really like to, stay in contact with you, work you through our Wardruna system, and get you in contact with the important people that have been in your life that you didn't get to have that contact with, and we could provide that for you. And I think that'll help you with a lot of healing. I know nobody's ever old enough to not heal. You know, I know you're going to be 69 and all that. It's never too late to get the answers that are needed to help you on your journey. And that's what we provide with Wardruna. And I think it's important that people know that life doesn't stop because of age. It doesn't stop. When you are 6 feet above ground, you still have the right to heal from any traumas or anything that you've gone through in life. And that's what we provide. I think it's very important that your listeners, just all of us, know that there is a service that does provide that.
How do people contact this service?
So anybody could contact myself, Thomas Patrick Gormley, Wardruna, Stacia Wills. We are the two people that co-do this. Well, we have Kathy Faketic, who runs our healing department with Reiki and any of those types of things. There are many, many people across this country that are working with us, medical doctors, psychologists, EMDR, past life regression, anything that you could think of. And as we talk to you, we could figure out exactly what is needed to help you get to the point where you could level up or have that healing of that ancestral or that generational trauma or anything like that. Yeah, that's what it is. We're always here to provide that opportunity for you to work you through the system to get you to the point where you bring back who you are and who you're meant to be. And we could do that for you.
Well, I appreciate that. I think it'd be good for me just talking about it.
Yeah.
Because nobody around here even wants to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to help me if I told them the whole thing. They're either going to be bored, crying their eyes out, or pat me on the back, said, "I'm sorry you had to go through that," and walk away.
Yeah,
So,
we don't do that. We never leave anybody hanging. We work with you. We hear your story, and we know exactly who we need to bring you to continue that story until we get to the point where we could figure out how to get you to the next level, how to heal from those things that you've gone through. That's what's missing now in the paranormal, and that's why we provide that service. It isn't just about ghost, spooky, demon, whatever, put your shit on, you know, showing your information and showing what you caught on tape to get your likes or anything like that. Not what it's all about. And I tell you, Len, it's about you, people like yourself, the living, and the people that need healing as the dead also.
mm-hmm.
So if
But
we
it's
don't
kind of
have
both
that
sides.
if we don't have that service, then what are we doing? What are we doing in the paranormal? You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's about life. It's about us. It's about facing ourselves in the mirror, being able to love who we are and where we came from. And if we don't know where we came from, who's there to help us know that and to heal from that or whatever we got to do? And the people that have passed that still have issues that need help, who's there for them? We're there for them. So that's what it's all about.
Well, I think it's absolutely amazing that
Mm-hmm.
you provide this service. And if anybody needs to sit there and talk, you are a good person to talk to. Now, I have not met Wardruna. I just saw her name tonight.
Yeah.
Just 30, 40 minutes ago when she came in.
Yeah.
And I don't know her except for what you've told me. But she sounds like an amazing person to have a conversation with too.
Her and I are. It's funny, when we first met, her and I are. We had two other psychic mediums at different times tell us when they saw us meet, they said, "You guys were twins in a past life."
Oh,
and
really?
we carry that. We are soul brother and sister. We are so intertwined, but because of us being intertwined and having both of us being shamans, we're able to help people like yourself. And with her, people hear shaman, they think, oh, Indian or whatever. It's not. Shaman started as a Russian word. And Stacia is of that background. Her background is the Russian, the Mulfors, the Carpathians and all that, the Carpathian Mountains and all that. That's like way back. That is like the original shamans. And I mean, her family history is generations and generations of people that are psychic mediums to provide that healing. And us together, in my background, I am of Irish descent and all that, and I am a shaman also, but it goes deeper than that. And the people that we work with and that we've connected with provides this service, whether it be, that healing with Wardruna, whether it be, people that have that fear and want to take back their house with the Warren Society, or whether they just need prayer or that healing of the Christian background or Orthodox, or the deliverance with the Holy Sword. That's what we provide. Our groups are intertwined, and we're there to provide that service and that healing and education, whatever you need.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing that you do that.
Yeah,
And
I'm so grateful for that, and I'm so grateful to be able to pass that message on. And I'm so grateful for you, Len, for allowing me to pass that message on. I think a lot of people need to see that the paranormal is changing. We are in that mode right now where people need answers, and it's not just about what you see on TV anymore, whether how many likes you get or anything like that. People want to be healed. They want to have answers. I want to provide those answers for people, and I want to reach out and know that I could give them those answers from what my experience is over 40 years, and the people that I work with and their experiences. And am I completely right? No. Do I know everything? No. But after all this time, again, I think I know a little bit. My friend Joe Frankie and I always say the same thing. After 40 years of doing this, do we know everything? No. But can we provide experience? Yes. So that's what it comes. And we're there for you.
and people like me, appreciate you being here.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you talking about all this on the show.
Yeah.
I appreciate Lee and Gwen for providing this network and providing us, you and I, being able to share our experiences
Exactly
with other people.
Yeah.
So it's a team, and that's the way I look at it. Lee, Gwen, you, the other people who do podcasts on this network, we're a team. We got to look after each other, and we got to help as many people as possible.
Exactly. So when we all work together in unison, a lot of people talk about para-unity, but I think with our network, it's different. It's not about para-unity. It's about loving your neighbor, loving your fellow man, loving the people that are providing that service. That's what it's all about. And there's no ego, there's no hatred, there's nothing like that. Really, again, I'll say this many times and I'll say it over and over again. All we're here is to provide healing for the living and the dead. That's it. That's all you have to do. Don't complicate it. Just be there for each other. That's all.
Now, sometimes I go on a little bit different path.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do a lot of teaching.
Well, yeah, you have to.
Teaching a little bit of history. Like I have at Bachelor's Grove, talk who's buried here, wine, a little bit of their history, like Amelia. She died of tuberculosis,
Hmm.
consumption, and her husband was having an affair with her behind her back almost time she got married.
Yeah.
Because it was an arranged marriage, and that's just history. That's just history of Baxter's Grove. Like when I investigated the Bonnie and Clyde Museum and the massacre site or killing site, whatever you want to call it. Call it justice. I don't care what you call it. It happened. But investigating that and then telling people about the history and about how the movies kind of got it wrong.
Yeah.
But going leaning toward the truth. Like most people don't know, they put all those bullets in that car, and the first burst of 4 or 5 shots killed Clyde instantly.
Yeah.
And they were fired by BAR, and you know what a BAR is.
Yep.
Those are powerful. Those things that got cartridges like this.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
They don't go through a cinder block.
Pretty much.
They went through the steel, Model A, through Clyde, killing him instantly, and mortally wounding Bonnie. Went through her body and out the other side.
Yeah.
Went through 2 human bodies and at least 2 layers of steel.
Yeah.
And just went out into the woods. In that first burst, had he just fired those 4 shots, Bonnie would have been dead within a couple of minutes.
Oh,
and
God.
She probably been totally unable to shoot back. And that's all they needed was that one burst. And they did not walk like Christian Bale did, walk out in front of the car and stand there for a few seconds and let Bonnie and Clyde reach down and grab a gun. Because Clyde was very fast with the gun. I mean, do you let Wyatt Earp come up and pull a gun on Wyatt Earp and then hesitate and let him pull a gun out of him? No. And you don't.
Well, then again, I wouldn't want to mess with Doc Holliday either. So I think he was a little quicker than Wyatt Earp. But
you know where he was born?
The what?
You know where he was born?
Who?
Doc Holliday. Yes.
Same town as you're living in right now.
No, he was born in Griffin, Georgia.
Okay.
About 100 miles from where I was born. And when he was still a toddler, he and his mother moved down to Valdosta, Georgia, which is south of Columbus.
Yeah.
And closer. But sometimes on Sundays, my parents would take us to Valdosta for lunch. Yeah. I mean, for dinner, is what we call it in the South, after church on Sunday. So I've actually walked a lot. I have some friends in Griffin too. They've got a gun store with a shooting range. It's a Doc Holliday gun store.
Wow, that's cool. It's funny because I guess being in that Georgia area, but then near the end of his life, he died in Colorado.
Yes, and
there's some areas that are haunted. They think he's haunting some of the areas in Colorado.
Yeah, mainly because he's not properly buried.
Yeah.
His grave marker was put there just to honor him. Just somebody could say, okay, well, let's put a flower, put a penny, whatever you want to do at his grave. But that's not his grave. It's just the marker. That's it. Because he died during the winter.
Yeah.
And in Colorado, during the winter, you can't take a pickaxe and penetrate a half inch under that hard frozen soil.
No, they'll put you into some kind of time mausoleum, but some people would bury you in the basement before they had cement. There would be dirt down there. They bury you in the basement until everything would thaw out. Then they're supposed to unbury you. And I had a case a few years back. There was this restaurant in the Simsbury area, the old, the OL Tavern. And the history behind it is this used to be a house. And back in the day, they had a cousin that moved into the house with them. And over the winter, he had passed away. And so they buried him in the basement, but there wasn't enough money when things thawed out to bury him. They left him in the basement. And to this day, if you ever go to the Old Well Tavern, which I've done an investigation there, that whole basement is cemented, except for this area where they think he was buried is all still dirt. So the cement's all around. There's this one little square area where they think this person was buried and still under the dirt. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah, it's quite a thing. And there's a lot of history with lore and all that in Connecticut, and especially that place, the Old Well Tavern, which is open. You know, you go get some beers, get some food, play some pool, and get to know that there's a dead body in the basement.
Listen, cool. Great.
So,
pick up a woman and do some ghost hunting.
Well, yeah, I when we did our investigation there, it was crazy because there were some upstairs rooms and we're having residual effects of people arguing up there over business from back in the day. You know, people wanting to move on and helping them move on. And I was around a pool table and something was tugging on my hair. And oh yeah, it was quite an investigation. So that was one of the interesting ones that we had.
You don't have a lot of hair to tug on, or were you wearing it longer?
No, for the fact that it tugged on my hair was pretty amazing because I don't have a lot. So anytime something tugs on my hair, I think it really wants to get my attention. And really,
I don't have a lot, but it's kind of long. I just have a long rat tail.
I think if I had longer hair, it'd be a little sexier to grab my hair, I guess.
But I have divided it down the middle and put it all out front. I look like a Viking or something.
There you go. Yeah.
But tonight I just tied it up because I was in such a hurry.
All business in the front, party in the back for you there, Len, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
But Doc Holliday did not get the kind of respect you were talking about.
Yeah.
They buried him in the snow. There was no, because he died in a hotel. He did not die in an asylum or a hospital.
No,
he was renting a hotel room and died in a hotel room.
Yeah, because
didn't have any friends.
You know, he lived a few years with the consumption and all that, and it's finally what took him.
Yeah, it was, and they just buried him in the snow.
Yeah,
so that's all they could do, and they forgot to go get him.
Yeah.
So when all that snow defrosted, basically you had an old dead body laying on the ground.
Yeah.
Or melted down to the body, and they're assuming that probably wolves got hold of the body and just tore it all to pieces.
Yeah, that's the thing is there's certain historical figures that I think about, and I feel like I really want to go out to that area where he died and see if there's any healing I could provide, because those are one of those historical figures I feel that calls out and all that. You know, we always have those things that we're very attached to. We feel a calling in a bucket list to be able to go do that. But I don't know.
Let me know when you do.
Yeah, all these years, Doc Holliday's been a big thing for me, and you know, I'm just a human being like anybody else, and the popularity and the lore of him, but I just feel like it's a calling to maybe, hopefully, talk to him and maybe his trauma and provide some healing for him to pass on if what we're talking about is true. But yeah, it's crazy. You know, I got a lot of things I'd love to do in my life, you know, and you know, like I told you, I want to help the living and the dead, and I don't like going to places to pay for plays or anything like that. But, you know, I just want to educate and maybe do a fundraiser or something. That's why I go to some of those places. But if I did go somewhere where I really wanted to investigate, even if it wasn't for the living, that it would be the White House.
That is the number one place. People will ask me, where is the one place you'd love to go? And it's the White House. And there was somebody that was a member of a past president's family.
Yeah.
I believe it was one of the Bushes that believed in the paranormal, that actually did a little bit of ghost hunting.
Yeah, really. Wow.
under that presidency. So it has been done before, but you basically got to be related to the president. And
Yeah, I guess so because I
I'm
don't
not,
know.
I'm not related to Biden, and nor am I related to Trump.
Yeah, maybe I could get old Donnie to let me in or something. I don't know. So maybe if I do the dance and all that, maybe he'll let me in.
Well, he's been throwing pardons around about $1 million a pardon. So maybe if
Yeah,
you come up with $1 million, he'd let you go something there.
I don't know. I don't have $1 million, but maybe he let me in. I could help him. Maybe help him with his golf game or something. I don't know.
Eternal X Wolf Pack Paranormal Egyptian Pyramid would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool
And
too.
they're right. Going to Egypt, one that would scare the hell out of me. That's not the most secure country in the world and a
Yeah.
very rough place in the world. But going around there, around the Sphinx and around the pyramids, that's something I'll never get done. I'll never do that in my lifetime.
Well, yeah, it's
That'd be a place
crazy
to be.
supernatural energy, you know. I forget what band it was. There was a band that recorded part of their album inside one of the pyramids. And I can't remember to the life of me who that was. I'll probably remember it after the show. But again, you know, I love Kentucky. I've been having some bourbon, but you know, I'll probably remember it after. My memory escapes me. But if anybody wants to look that up, there is like a rock band that recorded inside the pyramid, and it got really crazy or anything like
That'd
that.
be amazing.
Yeah.
The
So
acoustics in there would be
If anybody
incredible.
wants to
with all
look
that
it up
rock
and let
around
us know. Yeah. So it's pretty
it.
wild.
I'd love to talk to the band that did that.
Yeah, I forget who it was, but I don't think it was a well-known band, but I think because of that made them a little more well-known than they were at the time.
The Grateful Dead. Ben says the Grateful Dead.
No, it wasn't the Grateful Dead. It wasn't a band of well-known popularity, but I know they were a rock band of some sort, and
Grateful Dead's a bit popular.
Yeah. No, Grateful Dead is the Grateful Dead, but you know they're amazing too, yeah.
I'd like to say excuse me for reaching forward with my finger, but anybody didn't hear the first of the show, I replaced 2 air conditioners in windows here.
Yeah.
They're both temps. I just used some duct tape and some cardboard to
Yeah.
put them up. But the windows were open for a bit. And this white screen that's over here. By the way, you commented my face was dark when I was on the show before.
Yeah.
So you see what the white screen does.
Yeah.
It does put enough light so I don't have to have a bright white light burning in my face.
Well,
But
cool. You don't look as ghostly as you are right now, then I guess.
No, the guys behind me look plenty ghostly.
Yeah, there you go.
We're always talking about death, but a skull over here, death over here. It's kind of scary. Plus, over here, I got skulls, candles flickering on them.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by death things.
Gwen's saying it was the Grateful Dead. Gwen's saying it was the Grateful Dead, but I don't think that's who it was. I did a whole thing about this on TikTok a while ago, and I can't remember. You know, if it was the Grateful Dead, it might have been a secondary thing, but the first people that did it was somebody different. So.
External X Wolf Pack Paranormal has got to go. They said they'll see me on June 19th, where they'll be on the show.
There you go.
So we'll see y'all on the 19th of June.
There you go.
About 3 weeks from now. Gwen, she says she looked it up, so she is amazing looking stuff up.
It could be another band that did that, but there was another one where they went in and some weird shit happened. They had like some alien-like experiences or whatever they were talking about, and I know it wasn't the Grateful Dead because I would remember that. But Grateful Dead could have done it again. I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
I don't know if I would trust anything the Grateful Dead said. Not that they're dishonest musicians,
no.
But you got to look at how much cocaine was consumed.
Well, all the other shit that they did, some mushrooms, LSD, whatever the heck was going on in Asbury, whatever yeah.
That all will make you see stuff. And I got bugs all over my computer.
Yeah, just remember, don't eat the red licorice.
By the way, can you do me a favor? Can you keep a secret from Gwen?
Maybe, as long as she's not listening.
But I said that my guest. By the way, I had a show last night. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
With Bill Hauser.
Okay.
Another. If you've never heard of him, he's a very old school. Oh, she's laughing. Very old school ghost spirit box guy.
Yeah.
He is fantastic with that. We talked for about an hour after the show.
Mm-hmm.
And Gwen was there for a while, about 15, 20 minutes. She said, I got to go to bed. And he and I talked almost an hour after she left.
Yeah.
I had something proposed with a friend of mine in Chicago, and I don't know if he can do it. We wanted to do it last July, but we couldn't. He couldn't be there because he works at night. He's a tour guide in Chicago. What I need is to find somebody who's in Chicago that can go to the Biograph Theater and be willing to be on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got to talk to the people who are on Tuesday night, and I have no idea who's on Tuesday night on this network.
Yeah.
I don't even know what night you're on. What night are you on?
I'm on Mondays.
You're on Mondays.
Mondays
they have several shows on Mondays.
Mondays, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
There you go. Thomas Monday night and Serial Killer show at 8 o'clock p.m. Okay, Gwen, who is on Tuesday night? Who's on Tuesday nights?
Trying to remember. I think that's the Tennessee guy there, or whatever.
I need to be a guest on their show. Right now, we have people coming. Right now, just specials and me sometimes. Okay, in July, of course, we're talking about a month and a half away.
Yeah.
On I believe the 22nd. Whoever has a show during that time needs me as a guest. Because what Bill and I are planning, he's going to be in Vancouver operating a spirit box that he uses. And he has a mental thing where he can hold the spirit box in his hand and get stuff.
Yeah.
I will have a microphone under my TV set because I have got in one of the very few copies on DVR of Manhattan Melodrama.
Yeah.
Do you know what Manhattan Melodrama is? Or why should I have a copy of it?
I think I've heard something about that. Yeah.
It was the movie that John Dillinger went to see.
Mm-hmm.
And what I need from Gwen is to run about a 3-hour show where I can play it softly. You got to watch copyright. I have no clue who owns the copyright to Manhattan Melodrama. It may be open. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I have not been able to find, maybe Gwen can, who owns the copyright to it. So what we'd have to do is play it and turn the volume down so low you can't tell who it is or what it is.
Yep.
But play that while the movies play, and at about 10:35, 10:38, need to have somebody standing in front of the Biograph and start walking toward the alley and be on the show, maybe holding their phone in their hand. And we start talking on the guest, to the guest, and on the ghost box. And at 10:40, that person needs to be standing in the alley where John Dillinger dropped dead. And the July 22nd is the anniversary of his death.
Yeah,
and
that would probably be amazing. That would be amazing because you're potentially taking on that residual moment in time. The stone tape theory and all that. If it did residually stays there, and if you pick up on that anniversary, that could be something amazing. I do have friends out in Chicago that could provide that opportunity. you know, that
Hey,
live in
that's a
area.
free ghost hunt. It's an open alley.
Yeah.
And it's not like they got to sit there. Okay, we got to pay $40 a head to see this. No,
Exactly.
they're right there in the alley. Now there is traffic noise, but to have somebody there as a guest on the show, have Bill doing his amazing stuff with the spirit box,
Yeah.
trying to contact John Dillinger, and if Gwen would appear, now you do know a little thing about that. That involves the lady in red, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was not wearing red. There were dozens of women in the Chicago area wearing red dresses, and there were several in that theater.
Yeah.
Confused the FBI. They didn't know what to say or do. They had all these women, some of them with other women, some of them kind of by themselves. They had had their kids, two of them, wearing red dresses. Very common thing in Chicago and during the summer. She was not wearing a red dress. She was wearing an orange dress, but the neon lights under the marquee made it look red.
Yeah.
So the FBI was looking for a woman in an orange dress, and they just said, okay, this is some of the last people to clear out of here. Where is he?
Yeah.
So I guess our informant lied to us, and they got to looking, okay, wait a minute, that's our informant there. And she's walking with a younger woman, and she's walking with a man. They started looking at him. That's John Dillinger.
Yeah.
So they went down, and he's sixth sense. You know, you always feel when somebody's stalking you. He put his hand on his gun, was about to whip around, but he already had a couple of people aiming their pistols at him, and they shot him from behind. Yeah. And that is a lot of amazing history right there about how and where John Dillinger was killed. And I've got the one of the few videos of you've heard about the godfather of the paranormal in Chicago. He did tours for years. Where is
I only know one godfather of the paranormal. That's my friend Johnny Zaffis, but I don't know. Who are you thinking of?
Richard Crowe.
Okay.
He was investigating. He's the one that created Bachelor's Grove.
Oh, okay.
Nobody would have heard of it if it weren't for him. And you can't get in there at night, but he would go there and sitting on the highway with a camera and a broken radio, because that's about all they had for a spirit box back then. And trying to contact
that wasn't like Frank's Sumption. That wasn't like the Frank's box there or anything like that. What you're talking about, or
no? He got to intentionally break it so it's scanned.
Yeah.
But he was the one that created that.
Yeah.
I got on video the last John Dillinger event he made.
Wow.
Before he died. He died the next June. So he was a month away from being able to do it again. But I've got the whole thing on video. And he put on a show. There was a bar across the street, met people in the bar.
Yep.
We walked out, got together. He had 3 bagpipe players. And the bagpipes fired up. The cops stopped the road, traffic on the road, so we could march across to the biograph. He talked a little bit about them being in the biograph, a little bit of history there. And then the bagpipes fired up, and we walked carefully, timing it, and got to the alley at 10:40, and that's where he got shot. And we poured a beer. Yep. We sang Amazing Grace, all 3 verses. And then we had a lady in red, a lady in orange.
Yeah.
Contest by applause.
Wow.
And he has some prizes there for them. That showmanship.
Yeah. I'd be very interested to see what the anniversary brings in that alley of any EVP or any phenomenon that might reenact that residually, or who knows, it could be their in person to be able to communicate and get some point across that he didn't get to when he was alive.
And I've got a short video that I made inside the biograph. It's the only existing video that I've ever seen or heard of from inside the biograph. I knocked on the door and they let me in.
Yeah.
Never let a ghost hunter in with a camera. Don't do that.
No. Yeah, you got that right.
Maybe I have a puppy dog face. I don't know. They let me in, and I actually did shot video. They're in the lobby of the Biograph. That place got closed down with COVID and never reopened.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was
they
an
probably let you in because you're a Chicago Bears guy.
yeah. I did have a rep by that time.
Yeah, there you go.
Richard and I were in the Westerners together, so we studied a lot of Western history.
There you
And
go.
he was interesting. We sat there 2.5 hours. You can imagine your guy, you spend 2.5 hours at a bar,
Yeah.
having a few drinks, and sitting and talking with him, got to know each other. He was fascinated with me because I'm from Georgia.
Yeah.
And he was also a member of the Chicago Civil War Roundtable. And Gwen has said, we need to wrap it up. So that I was in the Westerner studying Western history with him.
Yeah.
I was also in the Civil War Roundtable studying Civil War history.
Yeah.
So I love studying, talking about history, and that's why I'd love to do this if Gwen would help me out. Of course, I'm going to end up putting gray hairs on her.
Yeah. She's like, you guys got to get off. It's been over 2 hours. I love talking to you, Len, and I think we passed along a lot of information to everybody on the show tonight. I'd love to talk to you again very soon. But knowing Gwen, she's probably going to break our ankles if we don't get off the air. And, I'm just glad everybody joined us tonight. I'm glad I'm able to talk to you again after we talked before. Yeah.
I appreciate you being around, and we can talk later about something to do with the John Dillinger event, because I'd love to have what your feelings are. And of course, I need to get Lee in there too, because she has some abilities, and both of y'all can tell what you're feeling.
Yeah, Lee and I are very attached spiritually that way with when we first met and how we were able to create a moment with H.H. Holmes and all that. So that's another story in itself. But
Oh boy.
Any of these historical figures are very important. Yeah, we
did I tell you about him?
Yeah, I think you did at one time. I think when we were talking before, but
I shot him.
Yeah.
On the other side.
Yeah.
I was doing remotely, and I shot him with a blazing green arrow.
Yeah.
And sent him to wherever he went. And as far as I know, he has not been around bothering anybody. He was bugging some friends of mine, so I got rid of him.
Yeah. He's still trying to get his story out and all that, whether he's lying or not, but he's still trying to get it out. So who knows? Maybe he'll tell the truth sooner or later.
All right. Well, you see what I want to do in July, and I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But one more time, what night are you on so people can watch you? I think Monday night serial killer show, 8:30.
Yeah, Mondays at 8 o'clock. Check us out. It's on YouTube, Spotify, all those different channels. I think the one coming up, we're going to be talking about children that were serial killers.
Oh, wow.
A few subjects for next Monday. So that's a whole thing in itself, the psychology of that at such a young age. That's going to be an intense one. So make sure you join us on Serial Killers, Supernatural Murderers, and of course the All Access Network TV that we're all on right now with your event here that we're talking on. So yeah, it is amazing. And of course, join us at the Connecticut Paracon, www.paracon.org. Join us up there also, and we'd love to see you there, and we could chat about all the stuff we talk about in the paranormal and true crime.
All right. It's been great having you, Tom. I look forward to talking with you again sometime.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
Anytime, Len. I'm glad we're cutting off because I really got to go to the bathroom right now.
I've been sitting here drinking sweet tea and water for 2 hours.
I'm drinking bourbon, buddy, so that's going right through me. So
I'm drinking sweet tea.
Yeah, I got to be up early. My wife's really struggling right now. She's got to get a colonoscopy. So,
Oh boy. Oh boy.
so she, yeah,
I had one just a few months ago.
You got to get up at 2:30 to finish up the rest of the stuff. So I
Oh
got to
boy.
be up early to help her and get her to her appointment, and then her best friend is going to pick her up after. So it's going to be a crazy day tomorrow, and I just want to make sure.
Woke up a few times tonight.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm there for her, take care of her, whatever I got to do as a good person that hopefully people think I am.
But is her side of the bed closer to the bathroom or is yours?
She is in the bedroom. I am leaving her alone tonight. I'm going to sleep in a separate area tonight so she could get up and down, so I can make sure I get my rest so I could get her to the appointment in the morning and go from there. All right.
That's good thinking. That's smart.
Yeah. I try and be a good person, so.
She's going to be busy getting up and down.
A little bit, especially at 2:30 in the morning when you drink the rest of that. Oh, it's terrible.
Oh yeah.
I feel for her so badly. So
I do too.
Yeah.
Three times. Three times.
Yeah, I think I got another year before I got to get my next one. So I think that's how it works out. So yeah.
So tell her good luck. I hope they don't find anything.
Yep. Always there. Got to support her through all that, and that's what you do. You got to support your family. So, yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Through thick and thin.
Yeah, exactly. So.
All right. Let's go ahead and end the same before Gwen kills us both.
Yeah, she's going to break my ankles.
And we're both doing podcasts in a wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, it works. So. All right, my friend. And I will cut off with you because I'm going to cut off with you because I got to go.
You got to go.
And I will talk to you again real soon, my friend.
All right, you get on out of here, and maybe Gwen will come in here and take me out or something. I don't know.
Yeah, she'll take you out real good. Yeah, there she is.
Hopefully not permanently.
Oh, she's look at her. She's brushing her hair back. She's ready to kick your butt.
Uh-huh. She needs to work on her intimidation skills. Well, that pretty face is not very intimidating.
Oh, don't worry. She'll take you out. She'll take you out like an assassin.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm gonna charge off. I love you guys. Appreciate you, and I will talk to you all again soon. All right, my friends.
All right. We'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.
All right. Gwen, your mic's not on. You're muted.
There we go. Take us out.
Yeah, let's go. Good night. And remember one more time, like, share, and subscribe. You're looking on Facebook, or just befriend me on Facebook, YouTube. And remember, the paranormal never sleeps. Good night, everybody.